As I've worked with guys, especially new guys in the area of recovery, I've noticed there is often a sense of insecurity that new guys are feeling. Things like or thoughts like, I feel like I'm going to slip at any time, or my next relapse is just around the corner, describes someone who is experiencing a version of anxious recovery. Today, I want to talk about the stage of anxious recovery, and I want to talk about how we can move into experiencing a more confident recovery. Welcome aboard.
Ready?
When it comes to porn, are you stuck, spinning out, or slipping backwards in your life? If so, then welcome to the Finding Traction podcast, a show dedicated to those who are looking to gain recovery momentum away from porn and toward the life and relationships they have always hoped for. Now, here's your host, Vern Tomke.
Well, if you're new to this podcast, let me just say it's great to have you on board. For a few years now, we have been working through practical steps, guys that have embedded porn use and want to really turn their lives around. And so that's what this podcast is all about. If you want to get more resources from me, the very best way is to connect with me on Circle. You will see in the show notes, there is a way you can sign up and you can get access to a whole bunch of free resources, worksheets, planning tools, watching a couple videos regarding the Finding Traction course, free videos number 1 and 2 you can watch. All of that is on Circle. So take a look at the show notes and sign up for Circle if you've not already done so. Let me also say that there's information there regarding how to connect with me about the 52-week Finding Traction video course. It's a very practical step-by-step way through your first full year of porn recovery. And there's a way for you how to access that course. And many guys are saying, I would love to get into a group around that material. I lead those groups, and we've just finished adding a new group Thursdays, and that one I think is essentially full now. Next group I think I'm looking for will be a Monday night group at 6 p.m. That's 6 p.m. Pacific or 9 p.m. Eastern. And so if you're looking for something for the summertime or as we move towards the fall to get you into a group, we'd love to have you reach out. So you can reach out to me at bandofbrothers.care at gmail.com. And one of the things I also love to do is set up a free Zoom call, kind of a one-time Zoom call where we can talk about your recovery needs, and maybe I can give you some pointers or ideas of steps that you can take moving forward. Once again, connect with me at bandofbrothers.care at gmail.com. All right, well, let's get back to this idea of nervous or insecure or anxious recovery. One of the guys I work with made this statement to me. He said, I feel like every time my wife leaves for a weekend trip, I'm hooped. I just know that I'm going to spend the whole weekend in relapse. It's just a given. Now, you might say that's a step further than anxious. That's almost an example of hopeless recovery. And so we were wanting to move out of hopeless recovery and talk about more versions of anxious recovery, which are just different levels or experiences of that same type of feeling. And in anxious recovery or insecure recovery, we have thoughts like, I don't think I'm ever going to get free. And every time I relapse, it simply reinforces that feeling like I'm not getting anywhere or I'm never going to get anywhere. Sometimes even when guys begin to take initial steps to move away from porn habits, there still is often this deep sense of insecurity, nervousness, anxiousness. Well, what happens the next time I'm put into a tempting situation? Will I ever be able to stand up to it? It's like every day I walk to school and I have my lunch money in my pocket, and the same bully steps out of the back alley every time and takes my lunch money. And today is not going to be any different. When the bully shows up, I guess I go without lunch that day. It's that feeling of insecurity that says I'm only as good as my environment, or I hope my blocks never let me down. Heaven help me if I ever come across an open device or a tempting situation. Now, I think some of those feelings as we get started are normal and natural. I mean, think about it. If certain situations have always led to what feels like a downfall, it's only normal that we would feel nervous about similar situations arising in the future. And the question I want to explore today, is there a way that we can move away from that sort of anxious or insecure feeling of recovery to something that is akin to a more confident sense in our recovery, that we feel like, what, I really do walk and move with a sense of confidence in this journey of recovery. I would go so far as to say this: if we don't discover a sense of confidence in our recovery, we are always handicapped to some extent. Confidence isn't just nice to have. I think it's a must-have to be successful in recovery. You can say, yeah, but Vern, I've not been successful, so I don't feel confident. So it feels like a bit of a chicken and the egg situation. If I'm not successful, how am I going to feel confident? You're telling me if I'm not feeling confident, I'm not going to be successful. I feel like I'm in the corner of a roundhouse. Well, we'll get there. I do think confidence is important, and studies have shown this. If you are more confident in your recovery, you are more likely to stick with your treatment plan. You're more likely to adopt healthy behaviors. You're more likely to ward off relapses. They have done addiction studies. This is a broad variety of addictions, and found that those who are more confident in themselves and their capabilities were able to go for longer intervals of time without relapsing. All right. So again, we've got that chicken and the egg problem. I don't feel confident because of my behavior, but you're saying my confidence is necessary to change my behavior. So let's talk about some of what I think are necessary components of growing in confidence. Here's the first one. Confidence comes from confronting your negative self-talk. Now, I'll just be honest here. I'm not a huge positive affirmations guy. But again, I do think if you believe you cannot or will never get free of porn, you will always be behind the eight ball when it comes to confidence. Sometimes, at some point you need to get to the place where you go, not only is it possible to be free from porn, but it's possible for me to be free from porn. Sometimes I do a little bit of exercise. It's almost like a visualization exercise where it's like, okay, I want you to visualize yourself, describe yourself a year from now where porn is not the dominant factor. It doesn't lead you around like having a ring through your nose and you're going wherever porn is leading you. I want you to describe that life. I want you to describe what that looks like, what that feels like. And then I want you to put yourself in that place, in that picture. And you're just trying to begin to work with guys to say, what does it look like for you to be in that picture? Can you see yourself in that picture? It's all around confronting negative self-talk, negative beliefs you have about yourself. And there's probably more, there's no more of a powerful mistaken belief that I can never get free or I will always have this. It took me a while to even go, can I imagine myself, living my life where porn plays absolutely no part? And it took me a couple years before I could actually see my future where that was the case. But you got to start. You got to say, you know what? I am going to confront my negative self-talk. One of the things that can be an aid to this sort of thing is, and growing in confidence, number two is just confidence can come from borrowing it from other people. The first time I was with a group of guys who had been free for months or even years, it gave me, a bit of an idea. Okay, this is what it can look like. This is what it could feel like. And as I listened to their stories, I was, thinking, well, they struggled just as bad as I did, or they even did worse things than I did, or this was even a bigger part of their lives, yet they got free. Their story sounded a lot like me, but look where they are now. And I'm thinking, you know what? I actually am borrowing confidence from them. And sure, there were guys that were struggling weekly or all the time, but having some guys like that in a group made a huge difference. So sometimes it's important to borrow confidence from others just, when you're starting out. I mean, how many young people, millennials, have had to borrow money from their parents? It's called the bank of mom and dad to get started out. Well, this is a similar idea. You're borrowing confidence from others who are farther down the road than you. Here's number three. Confidence comes from setting realistic goals and celebrating small wins. Let me just say this. It's rare for you to turn your life around instantly and for good. Sometimes it's going to feel like 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But as you work with guys, as you grow, as you meet new milestones, and you celebrate those little wins with other people, slowly but surely, you begin to chart a new path forward. And guess what that does? That adds to your sense of confidence. I love it when guys say to me, you know what? It's been 3 weeks without porn. I don't think I've been 3 weeks before. Wow, it's only, this is kind of uncharted territory for me. Well, what you're saying and what they're saying is, you know what? I am in a new place. Now I got to celebrate that. I gotta backfill that and do some of those things. But that's worth celebrating. Let's take that little bit of confidence and it begins to grow. You know what? I can be 3 weeks. I can be a month free from porn. I've done it before. It's one of the reasons why I ask people sometimes, has there ever been a period of time where you've been free from porn? And if guys have experienced times like that, I say, well, let's go back and let's build on that. So what are you building on? It's setting realistic goals, celebrating small wins. Number 4, confidence comes from learning from your mistakes. Now, you may say, that sounds kind of funny, Vern, because won't a mistake completely shatter my sense of confidence? Well, not if you truly learn from it and use it to instruct your future self. Now, I haven't golfed for quite a while, but I used to be an okay golfer, I think. But I know this, and I've got a few guys I coach that just love golfing. And apparently, with a golf pro, a good golf pro can usually identify some simple fixes. It's like, well, show me your golf swing. And hopefully they don't laugh at you because, that kind of thing. But they watch your golf swing and they watch, the result of where the ball goes. Is it, slicing? Is it hooking? Is it whatever? And I just did a little bit of Googling on this. There's some simple ways that you can fix common golf swing problems. But if you're slicing the ball or you're hooking the ball, then change your grip this way, strengthen it, loosen it. Some of those things, for example. Here's how you adjust your stance. Here's how you adjust your placement to the ball. And it often is based on the fact of, let's look at the result of where the ball's going. You know, you're regularly topping the ball and it just dribbling 10 feet ahead of you. I hate that, when that happens. And it's just, how ineffectual am I? And people just laugh at me if I'm golfing with my buddies. But, you're looking up too quick. You're raising your head too quickly. And that's bringing up, your swing. And that's why you're topping the ball. Now, again, some of you real golf addicts are going, Vern, you can quit now because you really don't know what you're talking about. But the point is this. The point is this. If you are regularly making mistakes with your swing, it's going to show up in certain actions of the golf ball. And you can do that. A good person can identify that, can learn from their mistakes and go, this is how we improve it. You're not going to end up on the PGA probably, but yet you can improve your golf swing. You can improve your score. And golfers know that. And over time, if you practice that and you get used to that and you do it over and over again and it becomes muscle memory, more often than not, you can hit a drive where the ball goes generally in the right direction. And guess what happens? You're not having this little bit of confidence every time you bring your one wood out. You just go, man, I don't know where this ball's going to go. You just go, I actually have some confidence now. Well, that is an example of learning from your mistakes, getting good coaching. So that's number 4. Number 5 is confidence comes from pre-planning. Let's just say you were the one responsible to plan your next family outing with your family. And you go, well, I think this is going to be a trip where we just want to see what happens. We're not really going to plan for hotels. We're not really, there's some events we're going to go for, but we're not going to get any tickets in advance. And let's just see how things play out. It's going to be an adventure. And, the family that you're going with is, your kids or your spouse is probably going, I'm not sure I want to go on a trip with you because I don't have a lot of confidence that this trip is going to go well. We're going to not get into these events because they're sold out, or we're going to find we get there and the hotels are full, or there's a crappy hotel. We've not done any pre-planning, and you're going, I don't think that that's a very successful strategy for a good trip. Just seeing how things work out or play out. It might be an adventure, but I don't think it's a successful strategy. So I would apply the same thing in terms of planning and your recovery. Wife going away for a few days? Well, let's just see how it goes. Wrong. Needing to go on a business trip? Well, let's just see how it goes. Well, wrong. Got 2 or 3 weeks off this summer where you're going to be completely out of your routine? Well, let's just see how it goes. It's wrong. It takes pre-planning. Sometimes it's a simple thing in your schedule, like, my wife goes off to work an hour before me or gets home an hour after me. And you go, I'm constantly screwing up in those situations. Well, how do I plan for something different? Plan, dude, plan. Certain opportunities or, certain times are a challenging time for you. Well, then plan some activities then. Plan something to keep you occupied. Plan or schedule a connection call with a recovery buddy. It's one of the reasons, if you're on the Circle site, you can download a weekly planning tool. It's under free resources where you can look at your week and you can look at your times where you're maybe vulnerable. You can plan some connection calls. You can go through that, and just that act of planning can really up your success. So that's number 5. Number 6, confidence comes from effective boundaries. Now, this is funny because some of you might be thinking, well, if I had confidence, I wouldn't need boundaries. Wrong. Wrong. I was just on checking out a few videos I had this idea, and I typed in the world's most dangerous road, and the number one most dangerous road was called the Road of Death, and like 300 people every year die on this road. It's in Bolivia, and you're up on mountains with huge sheer cliffs. But here's the thing: there's no guardrails, period. There's nothing, there's nothing. And I just got nervous watching these videos. So they're driving along, and you see the tires 6 inches, a foot away from the edge of these cliffs, and there's no guardrails, period. And you're going, well, how confident would you be driving those roads? Would there be any sense of anxiousness or anxiety? I tell you simply, and I've been on roads like logging roads, and I'm getting nervous, and they're 100 times safer than that. If you put up a guardrail, all of a sudden, instantly, my sense of anxiousness goes down. And so confidence comes from having effective boundaries. I've shared many times. My wife goes off to work. The remote controls are all away. I have confidence that this day is going to go well. If that wasn't the case, I wouldn't have the same level of confidence. Let me say it one last time. Confidence comes from having effective boundaries. Number 7, confidence comes from repeated practice. Repeated practice is like training muscle memory. It's the whole aspect of habits. Going back to the golfing example, you do that same stroke properly over and over and over again, and over time you develop a habit of a good golf swing. Now, it doesn't mean that the ball's always going to go where you want. That's the maddening thing about golf. But it's just eventually you do it more and more, you see that that's the case. I was at a driving range a couple weeks ago. I had to take some students there a day I was teaching. And there was this guy golfing, and it was really funny watching all these hackers. And it was just like they were trying to muscle the ball out onto the driving range. And I saw this one guy, and he had his little bucket of golf balls, and he was just effortlessly, I can't say that word properly. He just, drive after drive, the ball just almost went out of sight. It was just effortless swing. There it goes. Did it again. Switch his driver. Same thing. Just muscle memory is what he was doing. And after a while, when we've learned to train ourselves, it builds confidence. This is what I do in this situation. I've trained myself. I know that more often than not, I'm going to make the right choice. It's this whole idea. Here's another example from my life. I never was a super confident person in terms of being in front of people. When I was in high school, I would be very nervous, very, very afraid of public speaking or being in front of people, which I think is one of the most common things. So at some point, I decided that I was going to teach high school. Well, I tell you, I think I've only had one panic attack in my life. I remember having a panic attack driving down. I was on a bus from our university down, UBC, down to East Vancouver to teach at, an inner city school. I think it was Templeton, which was a pretty tough school. And I remember going down, I had written out every word I was going to say in those classes. That's how nervous I was. That's how freaked out I was. I was so anxious. I'm going to be in front of I forget what I was teaching. I think it was socials or some version of that. I was so freaked out and when I was starting. But over the years, repeated practice. What happens? Your confidence builds. So now, years and years later, when I go into a high school class, I'm a substitute teacher now, and I go into a high school class, I don't go in with a sense of nervousness. Just so you know, I go in and the first thing I do is I make them choose between one of 4 jokes. 4 animal jokes. You can choose the joke about the 3-legged chicken, the cursed frog. You can choose the joke about the hero pig, or you can choose the joke about the depressed moth. I think that's 4. And they vote, and I tell them a joke. And you're going, how did you get to that? Just repeated practice. Joke telling is another thing. I could never tell it. That would be the ultimate thing of struggle. Would be trying to tell a joke. Guess what? Those 4 jokes, man, I've got the timing down on those jokes. Why? Repeated practice. Confidence comes from repeated practice. The same thing with confidence in our recovery. So let me just say this. My goal for you is to move from nervous or insecure recovery to confident recovery. Now, let me just say, I don't mean foolhardy or cocky recovery. I've got this. I've got this licked. Never again. That was so last year. I'm over this. That is not what I'm talking about. That's just arrogance. There's a verse in the Bible that says, beware of those who think they stand, lest they fall. It's to try to say, you think you've got it together, you think you can't fall. Well, guess what? So I'm not talking about that sort of overconfidence. But I am talking about walking into a situation knowing, you know what? I've planned, I've prepared, I've got good boundaries, I feel good about my day. I'm confident that this day is going to go well. I've got my buddies in my group. I've got guys that I can reach out to if I run into problems. You know what? I have prepared for today's journey, for this next week. I am confident. One of my favorite scripture verses is found, it's a paraphrase of Psalm 119, and it's verse 45, and in the Message it says this, I'll stride freely through wide open spaces as I look for your truth and your wisdom. Now notice, it doesn't say slink into wide open spaces. That would be insecure. It doesn't say strut into wide open spaces. That would be overconfident. It says, I will stride into wide open spaces. I like that. So, here's to confidently striding into wide open spaces as you apply these principles. We'll see you next time.